Of all the skeezy people in Donald Trump's White House, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is the most annoying right now. I've got some theories why. Spoiler alert, she's doing it on purpose. I'm Amanda Marcotte. Welcome to Standing Room Only. Few voices in the MAGA make me want to flip the channel faster than White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Even the grating voice of Donald Trump doesn't make me dive for the remote control quite as fast. Every time I see her face on TV, I know what we're going to get. Leavitt scolding reporters like she's the Uber Karen. She always sounds like she's dressing down a waitress for not taking the sugar out of sweet tea.
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times.
You're a reporter, you should find out.
Caitlin, regarding not taking your follow-up.
To the woman in the purple, because I saw you were making a face at my previous answer, so what's going on?
In conservative Reddit, they're always just like, oh, she clapped back and stuff. If you want to see like a real clap back, just watch one episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. Loathing Leavitt puts me right in the middle of my demographic, progressive, college-educated women between the ages of 25 and 65. On Instagram and TikTok, making fun of Leavitt is a popular sport, and I can't say that her critics make like Michelle Obama and go high while Leavitt goes low. They hate that she has only one mode, perpetual tight-lipped outrage, like she's about to call the management on every person that she meets.
I find it insulting that you think that President Trump does not know what he's doing by renaming the District of Columbia, District of America. As you all know, District of Columbia has nothing to do with where we are going to in America as the future.
They're grossed out because she's 27 and married to a man in his 60s. On Instagram, people constantly call her a gold digger and wonder if her husband is the baby's father or grandfather. They also love to call her stupid and clueless, and women really, really love making fun of her clothes. At first, I thought it was a little shallow how people attacked Leavitt for her looks and her personality instead of, her politics. It's like feeling sorry for Joseph Goebbels. She's a fascist. But I realized that those little details are part of the package that makes her so effective at annoying you. She is annoying you on purpose. We know this because the more that women lash out at her, the harder she leans into it. It's like she was made by ChatGPT to irritate feminists. Leavitt is young and talented. Before she started getting Mar-a-Lago face, she was beautiful. She even tried out a few things before she became a professional troll. For a while, she wanted to be a sports reporter. Then she worked for Representative Elise Stefanik. She even ran for Congress with the standard array of Republican ads in 2022. She lost, but she's obviously quick on her feet, so I think she would have gone far without selling her soul to Donald Trump and MAGA. But let's face it, the ticket straight to the top was being a professional troll. She got where she is by pretending to be a woman that exists only in right-wing male fantasies. She acts very stupid and very loyal to Trump. I think she's smart, but she plays dumb to sell all these White House lies. I'll be talking about that more with my guest, Kate Bernyk, and Pass the Mic. We know there's a real person in there, but she buries it under all this MAGA play acting. I wrote about this in my 2018 book, Troll Nation. MAGA knows that they can't win the arguments on the merits, so they don't bother. Instead, they try wearing you down with bad faith, gaslighting, and other trolling tactics. Leavitt embodies that strategy. She knows that her job is not to be a professional communicator. She's there to annoy you, and she's very skilled at it. Like with her over-the-top praise of Donald Trump.
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts.
And her shameless lying, like promising trade deals that never seem to come.
The plan is for the announcement of these deals to be made very, very soon.
That was 3 weeks ago, by the way. And then there's her constant gaslighting.
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question.
Here's what Trump literally said the day before.
And if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force.
And then there's the unsubtle racist dog whistling.
I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now.
In the grand tradition of professional anti-feminists like Phyllis Schlafly, Leavitt found career success by attacking the very progressivism that allowed her to have a career at all. Worse, she treats progressives as this well of outrage that she can draw from every time Donald Trump needs to prove to the MAGA base that he can trigger the libs. But you know what really annoys me? The right's propaganda machine is always trying to hype Leavitt as this role model for women.
She's the Elle Woods of the conservative political movement. You're gorgeous, you're conservative, you're Gen Z.
What's so cool about you and about that story and your July 2024 is that you really are showing women that you can have a rigorous job and you can also be a great mom.
She is supposedly proof that the MAGA woman can have it all. A rich husband, children, and a prestigious job, all before she's 30 years old. But in my research for this episode, I read a lot of comments and posts where people were arguing about Leavitt, and I found that a lot of conservatives weren't buying the whole supermom image. There were plenty of others who were trying to cheerlead, but it was all very incoherent because the right has long argued that you can't be a mother and have a career at the same time. The MAGA hype machine wants to turn Leavitt into an object of admiration, but it just falls flat. They think feminists are annoyed by Leavitt because we're jealous of her. But let's be honest, who wants to live like Karoline Leavitt? She's old before her time. She spends her days around cranky Fox News-addled senior citizens. She is a regular example of an ugly reality. Being MAGA robs you of your youth, your talent, and your beauty. And what you get in exchange is a lifetime of service to the worst men. What's annoying is listening to conservatives feebly insist that she's a role model for women because it's just not true. She's just a woman who is wasting her life being a troll for Trump. I'm so happy today to welcome my friend Kate Bernyk to the show. Kate is a communications consultant right now. She was the comms director for the First Lady of New York City for a minute, and she was also ran comms for the Center for Reproductive Rights, among many other prestigious communications roles. So welcome to Standing Room Only, Kate.
Thank you, man. I'm so happy to be here.
I wanted you on because you do work that is very close to what Karoline Leavitt does, and I really wanted your assessment of her right away as a press secretary. Like, how is she at the job?
I mean, I think I'm obsessed with the press secretary role. I have always been interested in it. I grew up watching The West Wing, and I think C.J. Craig is responsible for my entire career. I think that the press secretary role is interesting because on one hand, she's a total departure from what we're used to in terms of kind of diplomacy and relationship building and, sort of framing the narrative instead of just sort of like being really combative. But on the other hand, she's really good at it because she is that sort of perfect extension of who Trump is. And ultimately, the press secretary is meant to be sort of the mouthpiece for the president in those situations. So while I find her absolutely maddening, it's hard not to just kind of marvel at how effective she is at doing the job for him in particular.
Yeah, there's this thing where traditionally the press secretary is about communicating the president's policies and values and all that to the public. And in a sense, she's doing that because his main value is fuck you.
Yes.
Right? And so that's what she is. She's the physical embodiment of fuck you.
If you work for the government, you should be adhering to the will of the American public and advancing the administration's goals and interests. And if you are not doing that, then you should go find another job whose interests you align with.
Yeah, priority number one, for sure.
We were watching some clips of her, and she's not very funny.
My first reaction when seeing former President Biden was speaking tonight was, I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier.
Like, Donald Trump tries to do this like Borch Belt like comedian role where she's just mean.
I mean, I think that's the shtick. He's pretty mean too. He just like thinks he's funny. I think for her, she's just like the attack dog, like most of the spokespeople are. But I think what's different, for her is she's a true believer. I think when we saw other sort of attack dogs like Spicer or even Huckabee Sanders or Kellyanne Conway, you could kind of see the conflict that they would have in their eyes when they had to do that, because they were also like tried and true Republicans, and they had this sort of like other aspect of their career that they had to be aware of and thoughtful of. And, Karoline doesn't have to worry about that. This has been her career since the minute she stepped out of college. And so, she's just doing what she's been groomed to do.
And there's this aspect of her where, on one hand, she's doing the press secretary job, getting out there, speaking to the White House press corps. But then there's this whole other part of her personality and her brand where she's like almost a pseudo trad wife,
Yes.
and putting that out there and really making a spectacle of her marriage and all that. What's your take on that aspect of her brand?
Yeah, I think that it's really buying into this general kind of return, I'm using quotes, return to like traditional roles for women, even though there's this like inherent hypocrisy in that with her having this like very, very powerful public job, right? But I think that like that's kind of the rub with all of the trad wife stuff, or as I was saying before this, I love The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like that's kind of all the same category of conservative woman of, you know, sort of performing submission and traditional values, but yet still benefiting from all of the, you know, benefits of feminism and advancing, you know, women having roles like that, or maybe being the breadwinner or being more powerful in their relationship. But I think for her, it's like she needs to perform that in addition to being the kind of attack dog, because that's the role that women play in the sort of MAGA universe.
Yeah, they use the baby and the like soft lighting to make her seem traditional, and yet at the same time, she's just mean.
Yeah, like she'll scream at reporters all morning, but she's probably made some breakfast from scratch. You know, like that's the idea is like, you know, the women can't have it all.
She definitely hasn't. You've been in the White House. You know that it's like this hard thing where you have to get there very early in the morning
Right.
to get through security. So there's just no chance.
No.
Part of the reason that she's good at performing submission, though, is that she is the spokesperson for Trump. She's not actually expressing her own opinion,
Right.
or you know, that's not what she's there to do. She's seen as in service to a man. And you made a really good point to me when we were discussing this beforehand, that she really is an extension of Trump more than any kind of press secretary or person he's had before. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's sort of like what I was saying before. Like, she doesn't have like a career that existed before Trump that she can stand on or refer to or have to answer to, I think, in the way that other folks did. And she's able to just go full-blown MAGA. I think that's the difference I think we're seeing across the board in the way that Trump demands that kind of loyalty and the expectation that you will not do anything that he wouldn't say himself, if not worse.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what, you know, she's modeled her, you know, career after. To me, I feel like the only place to go from there is Fox News correspondent, right? And that maybe is the pipeline, or maybe run for something like, you know, Huckabee Sanders did. But I think for her, it's, you know, again, it's just about Trump and making him happy. And if he's happy, she's doing a great job.
She embodies, I think, a real paradox, in fact, because before she did this, she, as we said in the monologue, she tried to be a sports journalist. She's tried a few other jobs. She really wanted to have some kind of interesting career. And Trump was just the avenue to that. That was the fast track. But when you hitch your saddle so much to him, when he's gone, like, I think a lot of these people were like, he's my only avenue to this power. But when he's not there anymore, like, what do they do with themselves?
It's really isolating, I think, because it's unlike, you know, look, I've worked with a lot of people who hitched their saddle to a lot of different progressive politicians, but it was transferable. These aren't really transferable skills, I think, unless, you know, we get more Trumps, which is, I think, what he's probably hoping for, although he probably just wants to be the only one all the time. But yeah, I think that it will be interesting to see what, if anything, she does after this, because it is kind of it's a very isolating decision.
I want to then tap your professional expertise. If you were if she leaves the White House and she came to you and wanted some help rebranding, what would you tell her to do?
Oh, Lord. I mean, I don't think that's hard to even imagine the conversation. I mean, look, you know, I think that, you know, that's sort of the challenge with hitching your wagon to a particular personality, is that it's going to be hard to strip yourself from that. But I think the harder thing for her would be just the fact that she's lying and combative. It's going to be her brand. So whether it's Trump or that, it's going to limit, what we see her do. And that's why I say, Fox News correspondent or something like that, because there probably isn't much space for that elsewhere, but it's working for her now. So God bless her.
We will circle back to that in our last question.
Right.
But I want to talk about one more thing about Karoline Leavitt. She's part of a group of young MAGA people that we're seeing rise up, especially after this most recent election. You see these podcast bros, they're really trying, even though their leader is 79-year-old man, right? They're trying to create this next generation of MAGA. How do you see that working out for the future? Like, is that something that's real, or is it just this illusion?
I feel like we would have seen more of it. Like, it reminds me of the Tea Party from, can't even remember when that happened, but it was this, And it's one of those things where it's like, it was like we saw it kind of in other places. And I think we do with the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the, whatever. But I think
she's in her 50s.
The challenge with Trump is that he doesn't really support anyone else. So I think that MAGA kind of lives and dies with him because he's not doing anything to support the pipeline, and anyone he does support within 6 months is on the shit list and suddenly becomes blackballed and, can't participate in the space anymore. So I think that's the other thing too for her, she's either, completely pleasing him or she's going to be on the outs and then make a name off of being on the outs like we've seen so many people do.
And part of the way she presents herself, I think, actually reinforces that problem because she's 27, but she's already done something to her face that makes her look a lot older, and she dresses like an old woman. And it's so obvious that even though she's supposed to be the young, hot press secretary, everything about her aesthetic is geared towards the actual audience, which is elderly Fox News viewers. That's who she's there to please. And there's just not much runway for that.
No, and I think, Trump was smart in picking someone that he could control and mold like that and create, because again, anyone else might have their own opinions or, and I think, look, in my career, I don't always agree with the bosses that I worked with. And I think that, part of your job as a comms person and PR or whatever is to give your best assessment, protect the goal of the work, but I also, for me, I have ethics and interest in truth and, dignity and responsibility with information and all that stuff. And I think for him, all of that stuff, he wants to be completely unburdened by that. And so is she.
Yeah. So we like to end on a question. We call it mic drop. That is a fun last question.
Yes.
So the one this week is, imagine an alternate timeline where Karoline Leavitt isn't the press secretary. Mm-hmm. What job should she be doing with the unique skill set that she has?
Hands down, she's an MLM scammer. She is running an MLM. She might be a trad wife online, so she's kind of bolstering, but she's shilling some kind of product.
Just creating a huge downline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wearing a
her
pinafore.
Sister lies. Yeah, no, 100%. It could be anything, probably weight loss stuff. I think that's probably, but it could be essential oils or.
I love it. I actually was I wanted to say WWE wrestler.
Oh, I like that for her.
Because she's mean and she could be a good heel.
Yes.
But honestly, watching the videos, I don't think she's funny enough.
She's not fun enough.
Yeah, they are fun. They're and they're she just can't sell it. Mm-mm. So I think she's kind of the second tier villain on a reality TV show like The Real Housewives or something like that. Not the fun one, but their dog that's by them.
I stand by, I think Andy Cohen has said this a lot, a lot of the MAGA people would be hilarious if they were on Bravo.
Yeah.
It would work so much well. We would all have different opinions of these folks if they were on Bravo.
Yeah, MAGA is camp for people that don't know that they like camp.
Exactly.
That's too gay, so they're I don't like camp, but
Fully
you do.
There.
You do.
Yep.
All right, Kate. So if people want to follow you, shill yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Threads, first initial last name Kate Bernyk, and I'm on LinkedIn. But yeah, I mostly post and write about, my experience as a fat person in the world, as a personal essayist, but also, I represent a lot of really amazing social justice organizations. And so I promote a lot of the work that they're doing, especially now. So yeah, thank you. And I'm so happy to be here, and congratulations on your pod.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And stick around for Encore. That's where we have our weekly song recommendation. This week's song is really great because, after all, what's freedom without fun? Yeah. Hey, folks. I'm coming to you from Latchkey in Philadelphia. This is my partner's record store. I've just spent the past hour playing some tunes for the customers. Now we're closing up shop. The band I want to recommend, the song I want to recommend this week is a brand new band out of Brighton, England. I just heard them today. They've blown me away. It's like one of those moments where like, oh, this band, I get this band. They're really like, they just hit you like a lightning bolt. They don't have an album out yet. It's coming out in August, but they have a few singles out. And one I want to recommend is called Astrolabe. This band is hard to describe. The British press is calling them folk music because they have an accordion and a fiddle and a cello and a flute. But they're very rock and roll. They call themselves hags rock. Honestly, they remind me of the Raincoats. The British press is comparing them to the Velvet Underground, I think because of the fiddle, but like the female harmonies, the very high dramatic female singing, very much like the Raincoats, which is a feminist band from the 70s and 80s that Kurt Cobain was a big fan of. This song is probably a little bit more on the folky side, Astrolabe, but I really like it because at the end there's this just like dramatic singing and it's super fun. But their other songs are worth checking out. Their newest song is called The Cow Song, and they apparently have a album coming out in August, so I cannot wait for that. They're called The New Eves. If you want more Standing Room Only episodes, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Standing Room Only started as a newsletter, and it's free to read. Click the link to subscribe. I love tips. These political battles are playing out in our local communities, your family, your school, your neighborhood. If you have a story, go ahead and drop me a line, leave it in comments, and don't forget to subscribe.